The day the alien ship appeared was a Tuesday. At first, it was just another blip on the radar, something big, slow, and utterly unlike anything humanity had ever detected. The largest deep space observatories, from Mauna Kea to the Atacama, pointed their most sensitive instruments at the silent, gleaming vessel that now hung above Earth's atmosphere, blocking out stars like a monolith. Humanity had imagined first contact countless ways: friendly ambassadors, benevolent exchanges, or terrifying wars that would reshape history. But this was something new. The ship wasn't just large. It was arrogantly, unapologetically massive. Its hull shimmered with impossible alloys, etched with swirling symbols that seemed to ripple and change as Earth's scientists stared at them. On the surface, panic gripped governments and civilians alike. Major world capitals buzzed with emergency sessions. Military forces worldwide moved into high alert. News outlets flooded their broadcasts with speculation, fear, and speculation again. The internet exploded with memes, conspiracy theories, and the inevitable viral videos of cats reacting to the end of the world. But somewhere beneath the surface, a different reaction brewed. Inside the United Nations Emergency Assembly, the world's leaders gathered, flanked by their advisors and translators. The giant screen flickered as the alien envoy's message played, the voice cold and unyielding in its perfect translation. "People of Earth," the message began, "you are hereby ordered to submit yourselves to the governance of the Zerelian Dominion. Your weapons are inferior. Your cultures are primitive. Resistance is futile. Prepare to surrender within 72 hours or face obliteration." There was a collective intake of breath. But when the Earth delegation looked at each other, something unexpected happened. A few smiles. Then more. By the time the message finished, the head of the Earth delegation, Ambassador Lionel Hayes, stood up and spoke into the silence. "Thank you for your message, Lord Veshital. We appreciate your directness," he said with a wry grin. "However, I regret to inform you that Earth does not surrender. We don't even negotiate surrender. We prefer something called laughter instead." The room froze. Cameras caught the moment, and across every time zone on Earth, people paused, then burst into laughter. Not nervous laughter, not fearful, genuine, roaring laughter. Behind the scenes, humanity's scientists, soldiers, and engineers were already at work. The message wasn't just a threat, it was a challenge, and humans love a good challenge. Within hours, the world's most brilliant minds convened to devise a plan, not just to survive, but to defy. Meanwhile, aboard the colossal Zerelian vessel, Captain Lord Veshital paced in his bridge's grand hall. His many eyes narrowed at the human response. He had conquered thousands of worlds, crushed rebellions before breakfast, and yet here was Earth, mocking the very notion of fear. "How do they dare?" his second-in-command hissed. "They don't understand," Veshital said grimly. "Humans are barbaric, they are primitive, but they are unpredictable, and unpredictability is dangerous." Back on Earth, the public rallied. People shared jokes and memes that blended defiance with humor, a viral rebellion of spirit. "If they want war," a popular chant went, "they'll get a punchline." From the deserts of Australia to the skyscrapers of New York, humanity prepared. Military commanders ordered fleets to covertly ready experimental technologies, stealth fighters modified with scavenged tech, satellites rigged with electronic warfare suites, and AI systems that could anticipate enemy moves. But beyond weapons and war games, there was something deeper. Earth's populations felt a surge of unity, a shared pride in their quirks, resilience, and irreverence. This wasn't just a fight for survival, it was a fight for what made them human. Hours later, the alien ship slowly descended into Earth's orbit, its massive shadow casting entire cities into twilight. The Imperial envoy broadcast a final warning, their voice steely and cold. "Submit or be destroyed." But Earth was ready. Instead of submission, the sky erupted in an extraordinary spectacle. Thousands of drones, arranged by the world's greatest artists and engineers, took to the air, painting vivid patterns and shapes against the darkening clouds. Music, old Earth rock, jazz, and electronic beats, pulsed from every corner of the planet. From below, humans watched the skies and laughed, not in fear, but in joyous defiance. The Zarelian ship's captain watched the broadcast feed in disbelief. The humans were not cowering. They were dancing. They were mocking. They were laughing at extinction. Veshital's fist slammed against the command console. "This species is maddening. Barbarian," hissed his advisor. "They will destroy us." "No," Veshital replied, eyes burning. "They will do worse. They will make us question everything we believe about power." And so, the stage was set. The galaxy had met humanity, and humanity was ready to laugh in defiance. The sun was setting over the Pacific when the first Imperial ship slipped silently into low Earth orbit. It was unlike anything humans had ever seen. The Zarelian vessel was a masterpiece of engineering and intimidation, smooth, towering, and glowing faintly with pulsing energy patterns along its hull. It hung like a predator above the cities, an unblinking eye waiting to strike. Inside the International Space Station, astronauts stared through the portholes, feeling a mix of awe and dread. From the ground, billions held their breath. The world had united for this moment, because unlike anything before, this wasn't just a threat. It was a declaration of intent. The Galactic Empire expected obedience. They expected fear. What they didn't expect was humanity's reply. On Earth, the military command centers were buzzing with frenetic energy. Communications scrambled as generals, scientists, and tech wizards coordinated a response that combined raw innovation with sheer human stubbornness. The plan was simple but audacious. Show the Empire that Earth would not bow, not with firepower, alone, but with spirit. From dozens of launch sites, thousands of drones lifted silently into the twilight. These were no ordinary drones. They were custom-built by hobbyists and corporations, patched together with cutting-edge stealth tech and old-school ingenuity. Their mission wasn't to shoot down enemy ships, at least not yet, but to send a message. The drones began to dance. In perfect synchronization, they painted the sky with brilliant, swirling lights. Patterns emerged, earthly symbols, peace, signs, smiley faces, and of course, giant laughing faces made of shimmering pixels. Classic rock music, jazz, and old Earth anthems blasted from satellites and ground-based arrays, weaving a cacophony of joyous noise across the atmosphere. Below, people stopped whatever they were doing to watch the sky. The spectacle was breathtaking, an unexpected party in the face of annihilation. On the bridge of the Zarelian ship, Captain Lord Veshital's many eyes narrowed. This was not a sign of weakness. It was a blatant challenge. "Is this their surrender?" hissed his second, the sharp-tongued Commander Rilzar. "No," Veshital growled. "It is a provocation." The Imperial weapon systems hummed, ready to respond with overwhelming force. But Veshital hesitated. There was a strange beauty in the humans' display, a kind of reckless courage that the Empire's cold calculations had never prepared for. "Show them we are not amused," he ordered. "Deploy the stealth fighters, let them see our might." Earth's response was swift. From hidden underground bases, a fleet of stealth fighters roared to life. Unlike the Empire's sleek warships, these fighters were built from scavenged parts, patched together by genius engineers and battle-hardened pilots who knew Earth's skies better than anyone. They slipped through the clouds like shadows. Their first move was audacious. A low pass near the Zarelian vessel, buzzing its enormous hull so close that alien sensors flared in confusion. The fighters deployed electronic jammers, devices that scrambled the Empire's sensor arrays and communication channels. The Zarelian ship shuddered. For the first time in centuries, the Empire's technological superiority was questioned. The humans weren't done. On board the flagship, a fleet commander reported, "Multiple stealth contacts detected. Sensors are compromised." "Engage countermeasures," Veshital barked. "Destroy those pests." But Earth's pilots were ghosts. They darted in and out of sensor blind spots, striking swiftly with pulse lasers and electromagnetic pulses that disabled several enemy drones. From the command center on Earth, General Asha Monroe watched the battle unfold on live feeds. Her voice was calm, confident. Keep them off balance, make them question their every move. They expect a fight, they're going to get a circus. The world held its breath. Meanwhile, in cities and towns across the globe, people were not just watching, they were joining in. Amateur drone pilots flew their machines alongside military craft, turning the sky into a living, breathing war zone of light and sound. Hackers uploaded bursts of old Earth humor and memes into the Empire's open communication channels, drowning out commands with laughter, dad jokes, and viral video sound bites. The Zarelian soldiers were bewildered. Hours later, the alien fleet. Commander's voice crackled with frustration over the comm channel. "This is Commander Veshital. Cease your disturbances or face total destruction." But Earth's response was simple. A video feed showed General Monroe standing in front of the American flag, smiling wide. "Sorry, Commander," she said. "We prefer to fight with a grin. Come closer if you want to see it up close." And then the humans launched their secret weapon. Deep in a remote desert facility, scientists activated an experimental device unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It wasn't a bomb. It wasn't a missile. It was a broadcast array designed to emit a chaotic wave of information. Old Earth stand-up comedy routines, nonsensical puns, and loops of ridiculous cat videos, directed at the enemy fleet. The effect was instantaneous. Imperial ship systems began to malfunction. Tactical displays flickered with memes. Officers tried to issue orders but were interrupted by laughter clips and joke punchlines echoing through their helmets. Confusion spread like wildfire. Captain Veshital's anger turned to disbelief. "How can they fight this?" he roared. "With laughter? With madness?" Commander Realzar looked grim. "They don't just fight with weapons, they fight with spirit, and we have no counter for that." As the night stretched on, Earth's skies became a battlefield, unlike any other, filled with light shows, stealth strikes, and laughter broadcast across every frequency. The message was clear. Earth would not kneel. Earth would not surrender. Earth would laugh. And somewhere deep in the cold void of space, a dark empire began to understand that the humans they had dismissed as barbarians might just be the galaxy's wildest, most dangerous secret weapon yet. The Grand Hall of the United Nations was packed, every corner stuffed with diplomats, military officers, media crews, and the world's most powerful minds. The air was thick with tension, and a peculiar mix of hope and dread. Above, the immense shadow of the Zarelian ship loomed, visible through the glass dome of the assembly chamber. The Empire's envoy had arrived to finalize their ultimatum: surrender within the hour, or face the consequences. Earth's leaders were ready to stand their ground. The Zarelian captain, Lord Veshital, descended the platform with slow, deliberate steps. His many eyes scanned the crowd, cold and merciless. Beside him strode his delegation, uniformed officers and advisors with faces carved from stone, all radiating contempt. Veshital spoke in flawless Galactic common, his voice amplified. "Across the hall, people of Earth, you have defied the Zarelian Dominion's commands for too long. Your insolence threatens the stability of the galaxy. Surrender now and your world will be spared. Resist and you will be erased." A heavy silence followed. Then, from the front row, a figure rose. General Asha Monroe, Earth's top military strategist and a legend among the people. She stepped forward with a quiet confidence that stunned even those who knew her. The room hushed, cameras zoomed in, and millions watching worldwide held their breath. Monroe smiled, but it was no ordinary smile. It was sharp, knowing, and full of defiance. "Lord Veshital," she began, her voice steady and clear. "You say we threaten stability. You call us insolent, but your empire has ruled through fear and oppression for centuries." Her gaze swept the room, locking with the captain's. "You assume we will cower. You assume we will beg for mercy. But humanity doesn't work that way. We don't just Survive, we laugh at tyrants who think their size and firepower make them invincible. The audience stirred, murmurs rippling through the crowd. Monroe paused, then delivered the line that would become legendary. Tell me, Captain, why did the Galactic Empire cross the road? A beat of silence. Because it wanted to conquer the other side. But you see, that chicken, had no intention of being conquered. The crowd erupted. A mix of laughter, cheers, and shocked gasps filled the chamber. Veshetal's many eyes narrowed in fury. What is the meaning of this mockery? He snarled, stepping closer. This is no place for humor. Monroe's grin widened. This isn't mockery, she said. It's a warning. We aren't afraid of your weapons, your fleets, or your threats. If you want to conquer us, you'll have to do it over our broken, laughing bodies. She raised her hand, and behind her the massive screens flickered. Suddenly, the entire assembly chamber was filled with images and videos, footage of humans in battle, firefighters running into burning buildings, children playing amid ruins, people dancing in the streets during times of war and peace alike. Intercut with those were clips of stand-up comedians, viral internet memes, and speeches from leaders who had faced impossible odds and refused to back down. The message was clear. Humanity was unpredictable, irrepressible, and most dangerously, joyful in defiance. Veshetal's officers looked uneasy. One whispered urgently in his ear. This species fights differently. Their spirit, it's a weapon. But Veshetal shook his head. No. They are barbarians. They rely on chaos, noise, and foolishness. We will crush them. Monroe stepped forward again. Maybe you will, she said. But know this. We don't just fight with fire and steel. We fight with hope, with humor, and with a stubborn refusal to quit. If that's madness to you, so be it. The assembly chamber broke into applause and cheers. Outside, millions across the planet joined in, sending a flood of defiant messages and memes to the Empire's communication networks. The Galactic envoy sent a last warning through the speakers. Cease this farce immediately, or we will begin destruction. Monroe's response was a simple broadcast across every frequency. We're already laughing, you're just late to the party. Back aboard the Zarelian flagship, the atmosphere had shifted. Captain Veshetal sat alone in his command chamber, replaying the broadcast on his many screens. The laughter, the jokes, the sheer absurdity, they cut deeper than any weapon. An advisor approached, hesitant. Captain, their resilience, it's unlike anything we've encountered. They use laughter as armor. Veshetal's eyes flickered with a strange respect. Then perhaps, he muttered, we have underestimated the enemy, and that is a mistake empires cannot afford. As Earth's laughter echoed into the void, a new battle had begun, not just for survival, but for the very soul of the galaxy. The humans weren't just resisting an empire, they were challenging the universe itself. The war room beneath the Rocky Mountains buzzed with a different kind of energy. Unlike the cold, sterile command centers of the Zarelian Empire, this place thrummed with creativity, chaos, and something deeply human, stubborn optimism. General. Asha Monroe stood over a holographic display, surrounded by Earth's best scientists, engineers, and hackers. The glowing map of the alien fleet hovered in the air, shifting as sensors tracked every move. We can't win this by just matching their firepower, Monroe said, voice steady but urgent. They outgun us, outnumber us. We need something else, something unexpected. A murmur ran through the room. Then Dr. Rajiv Patel, the lead physicist, stepped forward with a sly grin. How about a weapon they'll never see coming? Monroe raised an eyebrow. Explain. Patel's eyes sparkled with excitement. It's not a weapon in the traditional sense, it's psychological warfare. We're going to flood their systems with nonsense, bad jokes, memes, dad humor, the kind of chaotic, relentless absurdity that will break their focus. Seriously? Monroe laughed. You want to beat a galactic empire with knock-knock jokes? Exactly, Patel said. Imagine their warships' advanced AI, perfect tactical coordination, suddenly bombarded with the worst puns and viral videos from Earth. It won't destroy their hulls, but it'll scramble their minds. Back on the Imperial flagship, Captain Veshital was already battling an unexpected problem. His communications were under attack. Alien officers frowned as their tactical channels filled with endless streams of Earth humor. Why did the star system refuse to fight? Because it was full of space dust. Knock, knock. Who's there? Zerelian. Zerelian who? Exactly. At first, the aliens tried to filter it out, but the barrage was relentless. Their AI systems flagged the attacks as meaningless noise but couldn't shut them down fast enough. Communications scrambled, orders were delayed, and confusion blossomed. Captain, a junior officer reported, eyes wide. The laughter broadcast is affecting our systems. Morale is dropping among the crews. Veshital clenched his fists. Silence these pests. Deploy electronic countermeasures. But the humans were ready. From secret bases worldwide, hackers flooded the Empire's communication satellites with the chaotic transmissions. Even the most advanced alien encryption systems buckled under the onslaught of Earth's worst jokes. On Earth, the effect was palpable. From the deserts of Nevada to the skyscrapers of Tokyo, people shared memes and jokes as if they were weapons. Social media exploded with viral videos designed to confuse and disarm. Old sitcom clips, ridiculous dance challenges, and viral cat compilations became frontline tactics. One viral hit showed a cat wearing a tiny helmet, batting at a model spaceship, titled Human Resistance, as seen from their own memes, video. Zerelian officers could only watch in horror as their fleet descended into chaos. Tactical meetings devolved into frustrated shouting matches interrupted by bursts of absurdity from their headsets. General Monroe watched the feed with a satisfied smile. They thought their firepower was the only weapon that mattered. They didn't realize that laughter can cut deeper than a plasma blade. Her second-in-command, Captain Lin, chuckled. I never thought I'd see the day when we'd win a space war with bad jokes and memes. Welcome to Earth, Monroe replied. Meanwhile, deep inside the Zerelian flagship, Veshital struggled to maintain order. His officers demanded a change in strategy. We must retaliate with force, they shouted. But Veshital hesitated. The humans were unlike any enemy he had faced. Their unpredictability, their spirit, these were traits the Empire's rigid hierarchy had never learned to fight. He turned to his advisors. Prepare for boarding. We will show these humans the true power of the Empire. But Earth was ready for that too. In the shadowy corridors of a converted submarine base, a new kind of weapon was being tested. Not a gun, not a missile, but an entire philosophy. Resistance through joy. Volunteers trained in guerrilla tactics, hacking, and performance art, preparing to spread confusion and laughter deep into occupied territories. Asha Monroe's voice crackled over the comms, rallying them. If they want to fight a war, we'll make it one they'll never forget. Because humans don't just survive, humans defy. The first boarding attempt was a disaster for the Empire. Human operatives slipped aboard the alien ship, not with weapons blazing, but with holographic projectors broadcasting Earth's funniest moments, pranks, slapstick, and stand-up comedy. Routines. The alien invaders found themselves disarmed not by force, but by uncontrollable laughter echoing through their halls. On Earth, the message was clear. The weapon wasn't firepower. It was the unbreakable human spirit. The weapon wasn't hatred. It was humor. The weapon wasn't surrender. It was laughter, and the galaxy was about to learn that the greatest strength of humanity wasn't in their ships, their guns, or their technology, but in their defiant laughter. The air was thick with tension aboard the Zerelian flagship, Dominus Ultima. Captain Lord Veshital paced his command hall like a caged predator. The once pristine corridors now echoed with something the Empire's centuries of conquest had never faced. Laughter. It wasn't just a nuisance anymore. It was a weapon, The laughter had become contagious. Even the coldest of the Empire's soldiers found their resolve wavering as Earth's relentless humor invaded every communication channel, every tactical feed, every moment of silence. We cannot fight this, growled Commander Rilzar, his many eyes wide with disbelief. Their humor, it's eroding our discipline. Veshital's gaze hardened. Then we must crush it. With a wave of his hand, he ordered the deployment of the Silence Reapers, a fleet of stealth drones equipped with sonic disruptors designed to drown out all sound within enemy vessels. Their mission was brutal and clear: erase every trace of human laughter. Meanwhile, deep beneath Earth's surface, the resistance prepared. General Monroe stood before a vast, glowing map of the battlefield, surrounded by her closest commanders. The news from orbit was grim. The Silence Reapers were wreaking havoc on communication channels. We need a new plan, Monroe said, steeling herself. If they silence our laughter, we fight with something else. Her second-in-command, Captain Lin, smiled wryly. We'll show them that the human spirit isn't just sound and noise. It's something they can't shut down. The plan was as brilliant as it was simple. If sound was blocked, humans would use silence itself. From hidden pockets across the globe, specialized teams trained in mimicry and body language prepared to spread a new kind of defiance. Instead of relying on laughter, they would use gestures, expressions, and silent protests that communicated hope, resilience, and mockery without a single word. On the front line, these teams would infiltrate Imperial ships, disabling key systems, while confusing their alien hosts with strange, wordless signals. Back on the Dominus Ultima, the Silence Reapers activated their sonic waves, and for a moment, the human transmissions stopped. The Zeralian officers smiled, sensing victory, but then came the silent rebellion. In the dim corridors of the alien ship, human operatives moved like shadows. They mimed laughter with exaggerated gestures, formed cheeky peace signs, and danced mockingly in the face of their bewildered captors. The alien soldiers, unable to interpret these strange human signals, faltered. Their rigidity broke under the sheer absurdity of it all. On Earth, millions watched live feeds of human operatives broadcasting silent defiance from the heart of the Empire's fleet. The videos quickly went viral. One showed a captured alien officer cornered by a human who simply raised an eyebrow and gave a sly, knowing smile. The officer froze. Another clip showed humans performing an absurd, synchronized dance routine in zero gravity aboard a commandeered enemy vessel. The message was clear: you cannot silence us. Captain Lin's voice crackled over the comms, filled with quiet pride. They think they can erase our laughter. But the human spirit is louder than any sound. The Dominus Ultima reeled. Veshital's grip on the command was slipping. The alien AI, designed for ruthless efficiency, began to falter under the psychological assault. Every time the Silence Reapers quieted the human noise, the silent human rebellion found a new way to resist. In a last-ditch effort, Veshital ordered the deployment of the Obliterator, a massive weapon capable of vaporizing entire cities in moments. His advisors warned, this will trigger full-scale war. Veshital nodded. Then let it come. As the weapon powered up, Earth held its breath. But instead of cowering, humanity gathered. From every continent, people rose in silent unity, holding hands, raising signs, and watching the skies. They weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their right to exist on their own terms. General Monroe addressed the world one last time before the inevitable strike. Whatever happens next, she said, voice firm but hopeful. Remember this. No weapon can kill what we carry inside. Not fear, not hate, not even silence. The silence was broken, first by a single laugh, then thousands, then millions. In space, the Obliterator charged, but the humans were ready. With a coordinated strike, stealth fighters pierced the weapon's defenses. Electronic warfare scrambled its controls, and in the chaos, a squad of human operatives boarded the weapon itself. They didn't fight with guns. They fought with laughter, joy, and defiance. And in that moment, the galaxy realized something extraordinary. Laughter was the deadliest weapon of all. The Obliterator loomed like a dark star in Earth's orbit, its massive frame humming with destructive energy. Below, humanity's last hope hovered in the balance. Inside the ship, a squad of human operatives moved swiftly and silently, their mission clear: disable the weapon before it could unleash annihilation. General Asha Monroe watched the live feed from the command center, every muscle taut with tension. The world's eyes were upon them, united in hope and fear. "This is it," she murmured. "Hold fast. The turning tide begins now." The boarding team, led by Captain Lin, navigated narrow corridors bathed in cold alien light. Every step was met with danger. Automated defenses, alien patrols, and the ticking clock of the weapon's activation sequence. But the humans moved with a precision born from desperation and a fierce will to survive. As they reached the control core, the silence was shattered by an unexpected sound: laughter. The ship's AI, overwhelmed by Earth's relentless humor campaigns, had begun to malfunction spectacularly. Holographic projections flickered erratically, displaying snippets of Earth's funniest videos and memes. Captain Lin grinned. "Looks like our friends back home are still at it." With deft hands, the team deployed an EMP device, disabling the core's power systems. The Obliterator stuttered, then fell silent. Back in the Dominus Ultima's command hall, Veshital's eyes blazed with fury. The failure of the Obliterator was a devastating blow. But it was more than that. It was a blow to the Empire's pride. "They laugh at us," he growled. "They defy us. This cannot stand." Meanwhile, Earth's resistance was gaining momentum. Across continents, governments, corporations, and everyday citizens set aside differences to join the fight. Makeshift workshops churned out drones, stealth fighters, and cybernetic tools, all fueled by the same fierce determination. Even artists and comedians enlisted, creating new waves of humor and hope to broadcast into the void. In the skies over New York, a massive drone swarm performed an intricate light show, forming images of Earth's history of resilience, from ancient warriors to modern activists. On the ground, crowds cheered, waving signs reading, "We laugh, therefore we live." But the Empire wasn't finished. Veshital ordered a full fleet, assault on Earth's orbital defenses. The battle that followed was fierce and chaotic. Stealth fighters darted through space, weaving past laser fire and plasma blasts. Electronic warfare pulsed across the battlefield, scrambling sensors and jamming communications. Yet every human pilot pushed harder, fueled by something more powerful than technology: their unyielding spirit. General Monroe coordinated the defense with ruthless efficiency. "Hold the line," she commanded. "Protect the satellites at all costs." Amid the chaos, a new weapon emerged from Earth's secret arsenals: the resonance cannon, a device that converted vibrations into powerful energy blasts. When the cannon fired, it sent ripples through space, disrupting the Empire's formations. Enemy ships faltered, caught off guard by a weapon that harnessed sound and rhythm, concepts they had tried and failed to silence. In the thick of the battle, Captain Lin's squad returned to the flagship. They reported the Obliterator disabled and recommended immediate counterattack. Monroe nodded. "Prepare to send a message they won't forget." The counterstrike was swift and unexpected. Using hijacked communication channels, Earth's forces broadcast a powerful message across the Empire's network, a symphony of human voices, laughter, and music, echoing across the void. The message wasn't just noise, it was a declaration of defiance. Veshital stared at the EO screens, his expression darkening. "We are facing a species that fights not just with weapons but with their very souls," he muttered. One of his advisors spoke quietly. "Captain, they have broken our code. Our algorithms cannot predict their next move." The turning tide was undeniable. The humans, once seen as primitive, had become the galaxy's wild card, and as the Empire's fleet faltered, Earth's laughter echoed louder than ever. The Dominus Ultima drifted in the dark expanse of space, its once imposing silhouette now fractured by failures and mutiny. Captain Lord Veshetal sat in his command chair, staring at the flickering holomaps displaying scattered fleet movements and growing defections. The Empire's grand design was unraveling. "Captain," a young officer approached cautiously. "Reports indicate that several vessels have stopped responding to orders. They're hesitating." Veshetal's multiple eyes narrowed. "Hesitating is the beginning of weakness. Send the enforcers." But the hesitation spread faster than he could contain. Across the galaxy, the relentless assault of human laughter and defiance had shaken not only the front lines, but the very core of the Empire's rule. On the distant mining colony of Gelcor, a grizzled veteran named Tiral stared at the news feeds. The images of humans laughing, dancing, and fighting with unyielding joy struck a chord deep inside. For the first time, he questioned the Empire's rigid doctrine. In secret gatherings, whispers grew louder. Discontent simmered among the lower ranks and civilian populations within the Empire's vast territories. The humans had ignited something more dangerous than rebellion: hope. Back on Earth, General Monroe's face was resolute as she addressed her commanders. "We've broken their fleet's cohesion. Now we must break their will." She tapped a button and a new broadcast began, this time not just humor, but stories. Stories of human perseverance, of love in times of war, of ordinary people becoming heroes. The broadcast spread like wildfire, infiltrating not just enemy ships but the minds of their crews. On the Dominus Ultima, the mood shifted. Officers debated strategy not with certainty but with doubt. A whispered conversation was overheard by Veshetal. "If the humans can laugh in the face of death, what hope do we have? Our codes don't account for such unpredictability." Veshetal's jaw tightened. He realized that the battle was no longer just physical, it was existential. Meanwhile, Earth's resistance prepared for the next phase. Scientists developed an innovative device, the empathy transmitter. It could send emotional waves designed to bridge understanding, to sow seeds of doubt and compassion within the enemy ranks. During a risky operation, Captain Lin and her team deployed the device aboard a commandeered cruiser. The effect was immediate, alien. Soldiers began lowering weapons, their rigid expressions softening. Some even hesitated to follow orders that no longer seemed just. Back on the Dominus Ultima, unrest blossomed. Factions within the Empire's forces argued, some calling for ruthless crackdowns, others urging peace talks. Veshetal found himself isolated, his authority questioned. On Earth, Monroe seized the moment. "Now is the time to reach across the stars," she declared. She authorized an unprecedented broadcast, a message of peace, unity, and shared destiny. The signal reached the fragmented Imperial fleet. Veshetal watched the broadcast in silence. The human leader's words resonated unexpectedly. They spoke not of conquest or surrender, but of mutual respect. A spark ignited. As the transmission ended, Veshetal finally spoke. "Prepare to open channels, we will negotiate." Across Earth and the Empire, a new chapter began. Not of domination, but of dialogue. The galaxy was changing. The humans had not only survived, they had transformed the course of history. The vast void between Earth and the Dominus Ultima seemed smaller now, bridged by a fragile yet unprecedented communication link. On both sides, tension simmered, but beneath the surface flowed a current of something new. Cautious hope. General Asha Monroe stood in Earth's command center, surrounded by representatives from the world's governments and her top military advisors. The holographic star map between them glowed softly, marking the lone Imperial flagship awaiting response. "This is more than a ceasefire," Monroe said, voice steady but hopeful. "It's the start of something different, something we never thought possible." On the Dominus Ultima, Captain Lord Veshetal faced his crew. His once impenetrable armor of arrogance had cracked, revealing a man burdened by doubt. "We stand at a crossroads," he told them. "The humans, they fight with more than weapons. They fight with spirit. Perhaps it is time to listen." The first diplomatic exchange was tense. The human delegates approached the alien emissaries not as Conquerors but as equals, human ambassador Layla Morgan stepped forward, voice firm but warm. We do not seek to dominate you. We want to understand you. To learn. To coexist. The Zarelian lead, Commander Selther, blinked slowly, an alien gesture of contemplation. We were taught to see humans as unpredictable threats, Selther admitted. But your resilience? Your laughter? It is unusual. For hours, talks continued. The two species exchanged histories, cultures, and fears. Back on Earth, millions watched the historic broadcasts, many skeptical, others inspired. Social media buzzed with hopes and warnings, debates and dreams. In quiet moments, Monroe reflected on how far humanity had come, from fearing annihilation to shaping galactic destiny. Then came the moment of truth. A sudden alarm blared across Earth's stations. Sensors detected an incoming fleet. Veshital's fleet. Not in attack formation, but in hesitant approach. Monroe's heart pounded. Had the fragile peace shattered? The fleet slowed, then stopped. From the flagship came a single message: we seek parley, not war. A collective breath was held. The parley took place aboard a neutral space station. Humans and Zarelians met face to face, their mutual defiance softened by shared exhaustion and respect. Layla Morgan and Veshital spoke privately. I never expected to admire you, Morgan said softly. Your discipline, Your Honor. Veshital nodded. And I did not expect to fear laughters or to learn from it. Together they drafted the Stellar Accord, a treaty ensuring peace, cooperation, and cultural exchange. The galaxy watched as humanity transformed from the hunted into the heralds of a new era. On Earth, celebrations erupted, not for victory, but for survival and unity. Monroe addressed the world one final time. Today we prove that defiance takes many forms, not just firepower, but laughter, hope, and the courage to reach out. Far from Earth, in the stars, the Empire began to change. The rigid doctrines softened and new voices emerged, those inspired by human spirit. In the end, the humans had not only survived contact, they had rewritten the rules of engagement. The galaxy would never be the same,